Hello, everybody. This is Brent. That's Bryce. This is Twins on Tech, episode 18. Thanks for coming along and listening along. Hey, Bryce, do you have any thoughts before we get into whatever the topic is?
No, just a couple. I mean, the topic is kind of our podcast setups here, some of the issues that we've run into, continue to run into. So the constant modifications that we're always doing to make things a little better. I've made some adjustments to my tripod. I've actually removed some bits and pieces that have come with it, purchased some other things that I didn't intend to modify the tripod with, but I ended up doing that. And added a few little things that hopefully will be enough to keep it rolling. I'm still having some, by the way, I'll have a separate video of that. We'll throw that in towards the end of this episode. I'm still having some audio issues. This microphone, again, it's only a $7 microphone, plus I got one free. And I don't even know how I should look at it. Did I pay $7 for this? Did I pay $7 for this and get for the other one and get this one for free? I don't know. But either way, it's cheap. And I'm still having some audio issues. At work, I have Audition, Adobe Audition. And it's the 2017 CC version. It's actually better at noise reduction than what I have at home, which is CC. So I'm sorry, which is CS6. And so I'm noticing, but wow, 2015, 14, I mean, it could be 2010 to 2013. I don't know, somewhere around that area.
A big difference then.
It's old, yeah. It still does a really good job, but I have these kind of, I call them warblies. I don't really know what they're called, but where it's like this wah, 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 kind of like we got this door opening and shutting all the time over here. At the end of that, and then the audio kind of does that. The old version of Audition doesn't always catch those and clean them up. So I try to find them and silence them, but that's a lot of work, and I don't want the editing of this to take forever. Listening to the whole video over and over again to try to find things to silence, like last week's. So let me apologize for last week. I was coughing a lot. I think I found those and silenced them, or at least lowered them, but I might have missed a couple. So if I did, I apologize. But that takes some time. If the video is 30 minutes or even 15 minutes, if you listen to it 3 times, that's 45 minutes. And that's just to silence the audio. And maybe it'll get faster as I get better, but maybe it won't, because I'm still doing a lot of things slowly that I've been doing for a long time. So, but anywho, so I'm still checking out this microphone. If this continues and we get legit with it, again, not necessarily 1,000 subscribers, but to the point to where you and I we're enjoying it enough to continue it, 6 months from now, a year from now, maybe I'll invest in, a higher end microphone, wired, so that I don't have to worry about another battery, but we'll see. Time will tell. But you've got a few extra things on your side that you're doing and working with, because you've been having some sound issues as well. What's going on over there?
Yeah, my sound issues come from two things. One, me not having a great grasp on sound and where to set the microphone up, really the details of how to use the mixer that it goes into. And the mixer was, in my opinion, part of the issues I was having, because I was having sound come out of the mixer and go out into the camera, the Canon T6i. And I was getting a ton of feedback. Now, that's not the audio that you would hear, you, the listener, or you, Bryce, when you edit it. But I do use it, one, as a backup. I'd like to have it just in case I do something and accidentally delete the Audacity file that I'm recording in right now and what I've always used. But it's just unusable normally is what it boils down to, as far as a backup goes. If you were to have to listen to that, nobody would want to listen. It would basically, you mute me and you just have the one side of the conversation, and that's what gets recorded. So what I'm trying today,
most of our podcasts anyways.
Yeah,
just me
most
rambling
of my conversations with almost anybody. But what I'm trying now is very similar to you, a lav mic here. I've had this for a while. Apparently I overpaid. I think I paid $8 for this one, maybe 10. So I feel like I got
big spender over there. Wow.
I know. It's, some people roll big, some people just need to stay home. But
right.
So what I'm doing with this, and it's at a decent distance away, almost probably even closer to my face than yours is on you. But it's also kind of being slightly hidden by Sure. The knuckle thing, cell phone call. Slightly being hidden by this microphone, so it's not getting as much. And when I'm looking at the levels here, they seem okay. We'll find out what they sound like when we get out of the camera. I might like it. Like it better. What did I say?
Yeah.
Something weird.
No, it's just I make fun of this place a lot because we don't have test environments. Our test environment is usually a school without telling them. And then if we don't get a bajillion phone calls, okay, roll it out. So that's kind of like what you're doing now. You're testing on the fly. It's in a live environment. But you know what? Right. Trial by fire. What are you going to do?
Well, it's like we said in one of the previous episodes, we're not trying to seek a ton of time and or money into this right now. So even though I'm to a certain degree, a better spot, literally, because it's a single location each time, and I don't have other people really getting into here. So I could technically leave everything up, but I don't. So I'm really breaking down and setting up almost every time. The camera pretty well stays in its location unless it gets used. But as far as that, I unplug microphones just in case a cable gets pulled. I don't want something to break off in the camera or anywhere else. I unplug the power cables. So there's still a lot of breakdown and setup that happens. But in any case, I'm hoping that this microphone that ran directly into the camera at least will help for now on my side and as a decent backup. And again, if it sounds fine and I can just use that audio, break it out, clean it up, and use it, then I'll do that and I'll stop recording into Audacity. But it's, from what I've heard, it's always nice to have a second recording anyway. So my first recording, or the one that I use, is on Audacity. It's recording right now. If somebody's wondering what this is, by the way, it's a little Velcro strap. Just happened to see it on my own thumb. Thought maybe other people might wonder. So I'm recording into Audacity, and there are some other things that I could do as far as cleanup goes in there. All I've been doing is removing the background noise. And in this room, depending on what I'm using right now, there's not a lot of background noise. There is a fan spinning right there. I don't think that's been causing noise in the prior videos. Above me, that direction is I don't really know what you call it. It's a wall unit, effectively. Heater air conditioner. I don't know what you refer to it. There's a condenser unit out back, and then it's connected to this thing. But that can be fairly loud. So that's some of the noise I need to take out. If I was using the MacBook Pro, it's 2011, the fan kicks in, and it can be significantly loud. And I edit this on my side on the MacBook Pro. So sometimes I'm trying to edit and take out any room noise. And then what I don't realize I'm hearing is the fan in the MacBook Pro, like as at the time that I'm doing it. So I'm getting distracted. Someone's opening my door over there. I don't have the live sign yet. I guess I need to get
You gotta get that.
Yeah. In any case, so those are some of the changes that I've made. The biggest change I need to make is, again, back in me, I need to get better at understanding the differences, because this mixer should serve perfectly well for the single spot for this microphone into both locations and be able to feed both properly. And I think with the settings that I have on the camera right now that I probably could do that. Last a few times it was not set to manual. I don't recall what it was set to. But with manual, you can go in and you can manually adjust the audio. And it wasn't. It was just the camera was trying to do it, and it was being fed too hot of a sound. And it was just so much ringing and crackling. I don't know if it's possible to burn something up in there, in the preamp or whatever that's in there. But it just was a terrible sound.
Yeah.
In any case, that's, as far as audio goes, that's what I think I need to work on the most. I mean, yes, there were the 2 videos where I was crazy blurry, but in normal circumstances, I think I'm in a similar lighting environment, minus the shadows. There's still shadows like crazy. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lights going right now. One's pointed up, the others are pointed at me, and I still feel like I'm dim. And then these are good lights, so I don't know what changed in the environment to cause that. So nothing should have changed. In any case, those are some changes that I'm trying to work out, and maybe I can get some downtime where I can fiddle with them, not in a live recording, but on my own. And just like you mentioned, you have a video that you're going to post a part of this and possibly separate. I'll probably start when I do some tests.
shoot them over to you, and we would both agree whether or not it's something we want to roll out as maybe a separate video or in with one of the podcasts even, just the test that I'm doing. That might be something that, at least when I go through 5 different scenarios, if someone's watching and they're interested in the topic, no sense in everybody having to do all 5 scenarios if I come across one that works for me. Granted, the environment is different for a lot of people. So in any case, that's what I've got going. The main difference is the lav mic here going directly into the camera. I'm anticipating it to be decent.
Did you say the camera is still set to auto for the audio, or is it set to manual?
Manual. It's set to manual.
And how low do you have it set? On a Canon, on all the ones I've ever used, if I have a really good microphone or good input, I can go down further than 4, like go to all the way to the bottom and then go up 4. That's usually where I land, maybe 3. But I have some other microphones, like this one's really hot. I've actually haven't used it with it. I should try it. But the other microphone, the one I first started using for this podcast, I wouldn't be able to go that low. The problem with that camera, and I would assume yours has it as well, because the T5 has it and the T7, and you have the T6. Picture time. The audio level, if it's above 4, you hear static. So you don't hear ringing. You call it feedback. Feedback is actually a loop of audio, so it's probably not that. It's probably a ground loop or some other problem. But and I had that. I think I have the same, at least here at work, I have the same mixer that you have, the Behringer. Is it a Behringer? And it's a lower end model, 1 XLR and 2 or 3 other ports or inputs.
I actually have 4 XLR. There's a total of 8, I think, inputs on this guy.
Okay, so you have the big
either
one.
way,
I
it's
have the really small one. I used that once. Yeah, yours is probably a good 12 inches wide. I used that once for a new employee orientation video here, and everyone was fine, but I had to reshoot one of the ladies, and I had it on. It's over there. I wish I had it here. A Zoom. I think it's called Zoom mic, the Video Mic Pro.
Right.
So I had it actually taped to a pole over us. Well, over her. I was actually behind the scenes, pointing at her, and that was the same way I did it the first time, same way I did it before, going into the mixer then going output into the camera. And for some reason, the squeal that came out of there, it was just deafening and maddening. So I had to work a lot. She didn't want to reshoot. It was like pulling teeth. She already volunteered the first time reluctantly, So trying to get her to reshoot a third time is not. What was odd is I did have these microphones, which are the Sennheiser. I said microphones.
Yeah.
Headphones. These headphones. Well, if you're a DJ, you could. Anyways, these are the HD 280 Pros, and they sound phenomenal. They block out because they're so snug around your head. I think I talked about it in our episode, our headphone video. But after a while, they hurt so bad. They're just like squeezing your head. Anyways, I was using these.
Like they're pretty soft.
They're soft here, and then in here, but it's because of this piece here.
Throw something real fast.
Do it. I'm trying to throw something away or hit somebody. But anyways, they sound good. And so I assumed that I'm talking. I assumed that the audio was fine because I used the headphone port on the Behringer and I didn't hear anything. But when I went back to play the video, it was a nightmare. I was able to get it cleaned up, and I would dare use the word acceptable. I just boost the background music a little higher in her section. So you can't, because there was just a hint of squeal in the background. But so I'm definitely still learning it. I've been playing with this stuff for a long time, and I think it might be the problem. I'm playing with it. I don't have enough time to really sit down and do it. And when I finally do it, I feel I got it locked in, and then I get other projects for 1 or 2 or 3 years, and so I don't really come back to revisit. Maybe this podcast being on a regular basis will help me kind of learn things and then really lock it in. I think that's what you need to do as well.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And, good equipment definitely goes a long way. But at the same time, like we've said 1,000 times, we don't want to drop $1,000 in it right away. to sit in a closet one day if we don't continue this. I'm okay with dropping $7. I just bought another clamp that you'll see on the video for the tripod situation that I have going on here. I've got this light that I love, but man alive, I would really love one of those gigantic light banks. I keep everything. I have. Oh, great. Okay. I've got one of those stand stations sitting here in the corner, and they just dumped it in here. And my sling for the arm got wrapped around it. Anyways, this is just a normal bag that cinches. Yeah. And I can successfully fit 100% of everything for this podcast in here, including camera, if I, was brave enough. I don't want to throw the camera in here because it just bounces around. But the tripod, my little stand that everything hooks to, sits in here. The only thing that doesn't fit in here would be today I didn't do it. I just set it on the seat next to me here. But if I set that on a mic stand that I normally do, well, I can't fit the mic stand in there. That's a pretty good size thing. But one day I might look into kind of a smaller, strong, because you don't want it to fall over, but a smaller tripod that maybe only goes 36 or 48 inches. I don't need height because I'm sitting down. So I might do that one of these days. But even then, those are $30 or $40, or a good one maybe $50 to $100. It's not worth it right now. I'll just set it on the seat next to me. So price, a lot of things are cost prohibitive because they're not necessities right now. I've got a nice light off over here to the side. That was part of a kit. I actually have a kicker up here. I don't use it above me. It's a 3-light setup. Actually, I think it even came with the backdrop that you see behind me. About $100 for all 3 of those, or 3 lights plus the backdrop. That's pretty stinking good price. But I mean, I'm not going to be lugging that around just in case, you and I need to do I'll be on vacation. So I'd set the whole corner of a hotel up as a podcast station or something. I'm sure the family would love that, having to be quiet for 20 or 30 minutes. Shh, quiet. Or just start throwing something at my family like you do.
Hey, that's the way to do it.
All right. Well, I've rambled enough. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about for now? Same topic, different topic?
I don't have anything now. There were a few things that kind of came to mind, but not
okay, write those down
on the same topic. Yeah, well, I'll have to remember.
Write them down.
I've forgotten some, but
nice.
But if they come back to mind, then I will. I will. Also, there's some things that I want to do, like with my backdrop, this blue board that I use, as well as the sound things.
There's the boards things behind you? Yeah. Your acoustic tiles?
Acoustic tiles. There we go. I want to replace all of this mess, probably with maybe curtain. Behind this, I've got a curtain. And maybe behind me. I'd almost want to wrap, even almost on this side, to give me almost not really wrapped entirely, not on this side. I don't want to have to mess with the fan, but front and back, I think that will help. And then if I do that, maybe, again, one of those videos that I can put together and show what I've done. Hopefully that'll help sound-wise as well, just to deaden the sound. I don't think I have a problem with echo. Not now. There's been some episodes where there's been a few issues there, but nothing major. But even with this situation, I feel like there's some more curtains here, some clothes. Again, location-wise, it helps me out. But enough hard surfaces, a gigantic monitor here, that 32 inches, that sound is coming off of. But again, I don't think it's been an issue. So, but either way, those are some of the things that I'm hoping to do over the course of time, maybe the next month or two. Again, it's a matter if I get time to do it. Outside of that, a cleanup, because if you guys could see what I see, this desk is just a monstrosity, so it needs to be taken care of. Anyway,
well, you get to lean on a desk. I just have a chair and a stool that I should have taken home months ago because we used it for video. But so like 2 suggestions. It's also your desk, right? It's also your home desk.
Well, it is literally my home desk, but I like having the microphone in front of me. It's like a barrier between me and the camera. I don't know. I'm crazy mental that way, but
a lot of people are like that.
Yeah, and so the desk almost serves as the
Plus, it gives me something to do with my arms and my hands, and I can do this and look evil for a little while, a little intelligent. But I like having hair as opposed to sitting there. My back would start hurting after a while. I'm old, so to.
And that's true. Yeah, decrepit. So 2 suggestions for you. I watch them a lot just to get ideas. I can't afford a lot of the stuff, but I've mentioned this to you before. I think it was on our podcast episode, our favorite podcast. Booth Junkies. It's a guy, Mike Delgadio, I believe. He has a series on setting up a sound booth when you're away, which is kind of cool because there are many times where he's on vacation or maybe he's away for a recording, but he gets an email that says, here's a script. We need you to when you're trying out for it. I forget the term for it. But he then auditioned. He needs to audition for it, but he's looking around. The air conditioning's loud. There's a street down there. What do you do? And so just finding some things around the house, or in his case, the rental, wherever he is, to solve that problem. But also, again, another one I mentioned on that episode is the DSLR video shooter. I forget his name. He says it at the beginning of every episode, but I always forget. He has one episode where he gives you a tour. I think it's only been 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks since he did this. So if you're watching this a long time from now, today is January 19th. This will be posted January 26th, maybe early February. I don't remember how many we record ahead of time. But
2018.
2018, yes, thank you. This one is either late December 2016 or early January 2018. Nope.
That's why they have you working on stuff and not teaching, I think.
Right. Late December 2017.
There you go.
Or early January 2018. Yeah, sequential is how that works. Anyways, he gives a tour of his studio, I guess is what you would call it. It's basically his basement, and he has 2 or 3 rooms in his basement, so they're used for different stuff. But the reason I mention it is because you mentioned these curtains. He has acoustic curtains. He has them linked in his description. I didn't look at them, how much they cost. They're basically acoustic panels. So anything that's meant for that purpose, you're probably going to pay a little more. But you can look at how much they cost. You can look at what they're made out of, and then run down to Joann's or Walmart or wherever your local, fabric store is and buy a nice hefty fabric, maybe even layer it with a couple different fabrics. And then that can be what hangs in front and behind you. So it doesn't have to be this $300 blanket that you buy that's for sound dampening, but is maybe something that visually is appealing, maybe even almost as nice as this tie-dye gray behind me. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. But obviously I'm being facetious. But you can then pick out the fabric. Even if the acoustic side of the fabric is ugly, you put another sheer or other thing in front of it. It could be just a blue like that or something. That can solve it. But anyways, watch that video. He does talk a little bit about the audio that he has and he uses. He's got a ton of crazy equipment. But he does audio video stuff outside of YouTube as well. So that he gets funding from YouTube because he's popular, but also, he's got these other side gigs that he does stuff on. We don't. I don't. You might. My side gigs here recently have been fixing computers, which I'm trying to get away from, but helping people back up media. And then here recently I scanned, as an example, one woman's wedding photos. Well, more specifically, the negatives to her wedding photos. And while I charged her what I thought was a good / maybe high price, because there are people out there that'll do it for 10 cents a photo, at the end of the day, I lost money. When you add in the time, because of removing dust and scratches, making sure the lighting is correct, and a bunch of other things, I lost a lot of money on that deal.
Well, you're a little if you look about that anyway, so when you do stuff like that.
That's probably true. I probably fixed things that she would have never have seen, but that's how I work. That's how I do things. I don't want to lower my standard just because they don't recognize stuff. But anyways, so that actually, by the way, that has helped me buy a few of these things. That's where I bought my light with, and I bought a few other things. That's I think the extra batteries I bought because of that. So that extra funding helps a little bit. But I don't always do that. Sometimes we just go blow it on a movie.
All right.
Because movies are so expensive nowadays that,
Well, for a family, that's right.
Yeah.
Pricey.
All right. Well, we've rambled on for a while now. How long have we been going? What does it say there?
Looks like 25 plus, so we're in good time. So
Okay, good. So why don't we go and end now? I'll roll in the other video, and hopefully it'll be a brief video. Clearly, you can tell I ramble. So I'm going to try to keep it nice and concise about this, and it's going to be about what parts did I use, what was my thought process, and then I'm going to assemble it right on camera with all of the parts that I will put in the description as well, as much as I can, because I've got some parts that I can't remember where I got them. They're like from tripods that I bought years and years ago that I took apart and I kept just certain pieces. And so I grabbed it and I put it on and it worked. It's solving my problem, but I have no idea where it's from. But I'm sure there's other, silly things on eBay or Amazon that'll solve it. So, all right, we're going to roll into it and we will see you guys next on episode 19. Ciao.
Okay. See you guys. Bye.
Well, here it is. This is the tripod now. I don't really know what you would call this thing. It's not a cage, and it's unexplainable at the moment. But this is what I use when we shoot twins on tech. It makes it easier to slide it into the tripod that I have right here. Modified that as well. I'll show you what I did. Very simple. Let's break all this down, put all the parts out here on the table, and then we'll show you what is what, and then how to put it together. Here we go.
The first thing that you see there is the Manfrotto tripod. You can tell it's been modified. I took off the center column there that extends it at the top and put on an Andur Arca Swiss compatible ball head. It's not the greatest ball head in the world, but for about $25, what can you do? Next to that, next to the extension that has been removed, is a plate. It's made by Joby. It's called the Joby Hand Grip with Ultra Plate 208. You can see the plate and then the cylindrical hand grip right next to it. They came together as a kit. It's for about $50. That's crazy. I didn't pay that much. I only paid about $10. They were on sale. Totally worth $10. On that plate is another Andur product. Amazon has a lot of options here. It's an Arca Swiss compatible clamp, and that is what I use to hook the camera into on top of all of this silliness. Right, I guess in this picture at the bottom of the grip, you'll see a little screw, 1/4-20 screw there. I use that to secure / pivot one of the arms, and that came from a really old and broken tripod. I have no idea what tripod it was. When my tripods break, I usually start to take them apart, and then anything I could reuse, I throw in a drawer or a box. So that's where this came from. To the right of that, the second Joby Ultra Plate 208, and I don't use the hand grip that came with that one, so that's just in either my camera bag or a box somewhere. We have the light that I use most of the time, and that is an Aperture ALM9 Amran LED mini light is what that's called. That's about $50, and I have to say it's totally worth it. But if you don't want to spend that much, there are similar products on Amazon for much less. That's a little standoff right at the bottom of that I use to raise it up about 1 inch to 1.5 inches or so. And right below that is the clamp that actually comes with the Amran light. Again, to the right, you see a flash bracket, and that flash bracket is, again, what I use to attach the one of the arms that I use to attach the, the phone onto for the FaceTime situation. And what I attach the phone into or clamp it into is the square jellyfish phone holder that you see right there. And finally, below that is an old tripod head from yet another but smaller, old, broken tripod. And there you have it. Those are the bits and pieces. Let's put it together.
Okay, well, now that we know what parts we have, let's put it all together. it's actually quite simple. We'll start over here with what holds my iPhone, which is actually what I'm recording with. So I'm going to use this iPod Touch as a stand-in. But it goes something like this. And that's how she looks before the gear is on. So you could take your light, slide it right in here. And again, this is normally where my phone goes. One day it might even be an iPad, but I'm not going to get carried away. And that goes there because when the camera is back here, it looks like I'm looking at the lens, but I'm really looking at this, which is where Brendt is. Okay, so now we attach it. Very simple. Take out the old tripod. Make sure it's backed out. Slide it back in. And there she is. Now this is nice because with this thumb screw here, you loosen that. And you can then slide this in and out as necessary. Normally it's some markings on the rubber pad. Goes roughly right here. And I did forget the washer. It looks like it's a little loose. I'll fix that in a little bit, but that's what the washer is. It's a spacer, but it also kind of makes it grip a little better. And normally my camera, which I forgot today, great, is right here. And again, I'm looking this direction at Brendt as we're doing a FaceTime connection, but it looks-ish like I am looking at the camera. And we turn on the light, which is pretty good. And that gives me just a little bit of fill over here because I normally have a pretty big light. The one that's actually right here now is over here, lighting me up. And 2 Allen wrenches. I will eventually be getting rid of this bolt, which goes right here. I will be getting rid of that to make a more standard bolt so that I can just use 1 Allen wrench, or get rid of all of the Allen wrenches and just simply use a flathead screwdriver because, again, I always carry my knife with me. This is pretty much with me everywhere I go. A little Victorinox one-handed serrated trekker and dirty trekker. And it has the Phillips and flathead, so I might swap those out. Again, I might, when the camera's on here on this tripod, I might buy a cage for it and then just kind of mount things to that. Either way, I don't want to use one that uses the hot shoe. That puts a lot of stress on that joint. And they're not really made for all of that. It's made for the flash. So if I put any extra pressure on it, I don't want to break the camera prematurely. But this is what it looks like when it's all said and done. And it works out quite well. Let me show you how it flattens so that when I put it away, it doesn't cause any problems in the bag that I carry it in. So, of course, first things first, let's take out this guy. We'll flatten that. Now, what normally happens here is this guy gets loosened, allows me to twist it. We'll show you that in a second. We're going to take it off of the case here. or the tripod. Take off the light. And just as a side point, I did accidentally mount this upside down. This is supposed to go down here, but I can probably still make it work. We'll see what happens here. If it goes past it, good. There you go. I like the light to be higher anyways. This might have been a last second change that I did, and I just forgot. I can't remember now. But anyway, so that is now like this. Doesn't stick out anymore. This as well. We unscrew. We pull it back around. Easy way to do it is just let it hang, right? Gravity does all the work for you. Screw that down. This guy now comes back inside, and you tighten this guy down. And there you have it. Nice and thin, nice thin line. It doesn't get in the way. Looks almost like it could be some sort of taser or something, but there you go. That's it. Someone's having a good time over there in the break room. That is how she is. And it's super simple. It works out great. Hopefully I look great. And, if I don't, then I guess that's more of a personal problem. It also, by the way, I don't always have a ton of time to set things up. It has made setting up much faster and much easier because pretty much, besides putting on the actual gear itself, I'm ready to go. Right? That doesn't take too long. And because this is Arca Swiss compatible and this is Arca Swiss compatible, I can leave the tripod mount on the hot shoe, not the hot shoe, I'm sorry, the quick release on the bottom of the camera. I can put it on here. If I don't want to use this whole contraption, I just slap it right on my tripod and I'm good to go. Still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this guy. Haven't decided yet, but we'll see. There you have it. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed something. If you got any ideas, any suggestions, throw them in the comments. We'd love to hear what on earth I can do to make this better. Maybe even put a link in there to a video that you've done that might be similar. We could definitely learn from you as well. I'm going to go to the party.